it feels like it was just a few days ago now that I created a video where I talked about how Bungie sent a lawsuit for plagiarizing somebody who created a story very, very similar to the Red War campaign. And that is because it was. And now we are looking at another case of Bungie also plagiarizing things. This time it is a lot of art, and they have a history of doing it at that, with over both in Destiny and Marathon, that both been art that has been stolen. So I think it's worth talking a little bit about today. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you over some of the evidence of the art that's been stolen, where it's been used, what's been proven, and what hasn't. And in most cases, it kinda has been proven that at least something was lifted from another artist that Bungie almost just took and used one-to-one. Now here's the post that really started the entire thing that Bungie has sort of been going through recently, where a user on Twitter called notreal mentioned that the Marathon Alpha was released and its environmental covenant assets that they made in 2017. And here you can see the posters in question. This is their work, this is Bungie's work. You can see the alpha design down here. It's literally just copy. Just a copy, plain copy paste. Here there's a palette swap, and here there's a like color swap as well. But this is the same thing. It is very blatantly the same thing. And again, here we can see these signs are being used here. And they've just been slapped there, and then we have these things which are also just blatantly copied. Now, this is of course bad enough as it is. This, while I'll call it fairly definitive proof, of course legally it isn't. There's a big distinction in saying that this is alleged, as technically it hasn't been proven in a court of law. But these are very clear things, right? The ARG also used some of their work along with some of the trailers, which is just so sad to see, as one of the key selling points of Marathon was its unique art style, as a game itself really just seems to be another extraction shooter, this time Destiny but extraction shooter. And I can't say I care for it. I don't think a lot of Destiny people care for it, and that's fine. It's probably not made for us. And that made people look into it. Well, if they lifted one thing, then the question becomes, what else could they have lifted? Well, as things would turn out, my dear friends, it isn't just one or two small things Bungie would lift. No. They would lift the Ace Nerf gun design from this person, Tofu Bunny, Twitter, essentially designed this in 2015, where they have this Ace of Spades gun, and you can see the Bungie design in 2024 that uses almost one-to-one the exact same details on it. This was something that Bungie also was out talking about, and I remember when this came out. I personally didn't talk about it back then, but this is definitely, again, also looking at it, it looks like it's been plagiarized almost one-to-one. Now, my dear viewer, you are probably a little bit convinced, like I've been, that Bungie has a bit of an issue with plagiarizing things. That they might just like yoinking things from other places and whatnot. And they, of course, needed a small indie company like Bungie. They need that art. But in case you aren't convinced yet, then let me convince you with one final post. One that I personally believe to be just as damning as the rest of them. This is one of the cutscenes we had doing Livefall, specifically doing one of the seasons. This is the Bungie cutscene. This is the artwork that it was lifted from. And it is made by Julian here, who made this post on Twitter back then, essentially saying that they just realized Bungie took inspiration, which is a nice way to put it, from their piece for this week's cutscene. Now, I will say it like it is, right? This is alleged, and only alleged because I can't legally say that it isn't. But I personally see that, and I am very convinced that Julian has a point that this is probably just straight up plagiarized, unfortunately. And it is even more of a weird thing that happens when you consider how big Bungie is. They should absolutely have the money and power to just, well, pay their artists. I don't think the solution is very hard here, but it is clearly a little bit of a bigger problem. And in some cases, it is contractors mismanaging something. But in the case of the Marathon art, at the very least, we can say with a 100% certainty that it was a Bungie employee. Now, if I take you over to the Marathon dev team's Twitter, They say we immediately investigate a concern regarding an unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie artist included these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in game. Now, just because it was a former artist, of course, still means that Bungie are completely responsible for it, even if he's now gone, he doesn't work at Bungie anymore. The artist, one, should be compensated. People like notreal should definitely be compensated for their work. And secondly, there needs to be checks in place so this doesn't happen in the future. Of course, something can happen once, but today, just today, I have shown you a few different examples of where it happens. This shouldn't happen this many times, especially not when it's a company with the sheer just magnitude of wealth that Bungie has. They should be able to hire somebody to check this shit out, right? Be sure that these things doesn't happen. Because, quite frankly, there shouldn't be a case every week where I can sit here and talk about Bungie plagiarizing a new person. It is just really, really bad that this happens in the first place. Now, to just be fair and read the rest of the post here, the Marathon dev team also mentions that they have a matter of policy to not use other artists' words without their permission. Yeah, like, hopefully you do. That's good. Thumbs up emoji for that. To prevent similar issues in the future, we are conducting a thorough review of our in-game assets, specifically those done by the former Bungie artist, and implementing stricter checks to document all artist contributions. Good. This is a good change. It's good to hold people accountable. More of that, please. It should have never happened in the first place, but this is a very, very good thing to read, and hopefully this is actually gonna pan out to something in the future, so we don't see more of this. And lastly, the same, we value creativity and dedication of all the artists who contributed to our games, and we are committed to do the right thing by them. Thank you for bringing this issue to our attention. And I just want to say, oh well, good post. It's a good thing that they're handling it immediately, but this is a bad look for a game that already doesn't look that great. Now, the reason why I say that Marathon doesn't look that great is just judging by the feedback that I've seen come in after the alpha. People don't seem particularly thrilled with it in comparison to something like Outriders, which has got a lot of positive feedback around the places I've seen. Marathon has been more middling. It's been more like, this is just another one. It seems to be more trend chasing than anything, and the thing that really made Marathon stand out, that made Marathon look fantastic, was its art. If you released either a single player game or a multiplayer game that was like more grindy, Destiny-ish, you know, with that art style, yeah, I would be really interested. But the fact of the matter is, Marathon is being launched as an extraction shooter. It is an already pretty exaggerated market, and other than the art style, Marathon just doesn't stand out that much, as far as I've been able to tell anyway. Of course, I haven't played the alpha. Could I be playing the game right now and then be like, oh my god, this is amazing? Probably. I doubt it. I could happen that I really enjoy it and I somehow will end up dedicating my life to it. I don't see that being the case, just because Marathon, in my opinion, looks very bland, like gameplay wise. It looks like another extraction shooter, and to be quite frank, the only extraction thing in a game I found fun was the Dark Zone in the original The Division. That was pretty fun, but all of these things, whether it's all focused on PvP and that, it just doesn't appeal to me. It's why you haven't seen me talk a lot about Marathon or like be excited for it. I simply don't really care. I think what is a shame here is that the most unique thing, the one thing that made Marathon stand out beyond anything else, was its art style. And now even that is being sort of talked about and critiqued, because what parts of it is actually Bungie? You know, it becomes a real weird thing where you have to look at it. And the same thing can be said about Destiny, for the record. Like, when you look at these cases, you have to wonder how much is plagiarized that we just don't know about yet. And to me anyway, it takes a little bit away from the game. And it's not like I am not a Destiny fan. I have a collection of shit behind me, like somewhere in that area, of Destiny shit. I even own a real replica of Born. I love these games. I love Destiny a lot. I love a lot of these universes. I love sci-fi. But the fact that this sort of happens just takes a lot of the wind out of it. Hopefully, this can be resolved. Hopefully, the artists can be paid. And at the end of the day, I just thought this was really ironic given the situation Bungie are finding themselves in. And anyway, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, do all of the other stuff you know. But most importantly, have a wonderful day ahead of you. And I'll see you all later.